Hi everyone, my name is Junon Macéus. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy: How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to my book below. This video is an MBTI analysis of Sofia Vergara's and Joe Manganiello's divorce. I think that most people are aware that they parted ways early this year, 2024, but I think it's a good idea to sort of dive into how maybe their brain type may have contributed to their divorce. Now, I have typed Sophia as an ESFP. In other words, she was very interested in entertainment. Obviously, she's an actress. She also is a businesswoman. So you'll see that people who are sense perceivers are very much like that. Now, the other aspect, though, she comes across as very feminine, very right brain dominant, expressive. We can see that the way she dresses, the way she moves. So that is very much someone who is right brain dominant. And she's also someone who seems at ease in the limelight. So she probably feels energized by being around other people and crowds. You see her even on the red carpet. She doesn't have any issues talking to reporters, and she doesn't seem to be the type of people who needs to be alone to recharge. Now, when it comes to Joe, I typed him as an ESTP. So he is obviously an actor. He's also has written, has directed. And so again, this is typical of people who are sensor perceivers. Now, he is quite masculine in the way he talks, he moves. When you see him next to Sophia, you can see the contrast. So in other words, I would say that yes, he's probably more left brain dominant and also very logical probably when he makes decisions. The other aspect also is that he comes across as an extrovert. So just like Sophia, they seem at ease, let's say, with crowds of people. He probably feels energized by being around groups of people instead of being alone. So in other words, Sophia is most likely an ESFP and Joe is most likely an ESTP. Now, what I've said in the past is that people who are right brain dominant are people oriented. So they usually tend to fare better in relationships. And people who are left brain dominant, like Joe, so he's a thinker, are object oriented. So they have more difficulty in terms of navigating personal relationships, especially romantic relationships. What is surprising, the reason they gave for their divorce is irreconcilable differences about having children. In other words, Sophia doesn't want to be an old mother. When they met about 8 years ago, Sophia was in her early 40s. So, what I find really strange is that if, let's say, Joe wanted to start a family and she's in her early 40s, it is something that should have talked about right from the beginning. So, do you have to wait 7 years to discover that you don't want the same thing, something as simple as having children? So I find that kind of odd because even Sophia had frozen some embryos. So in other words, she intended maybe at some point to have children, and to wait all this time and to be in your early 50s say, well, I'm too old to be a mother, that is kind of, I think, kind of strange. Sophia said that it is her son in his early 30s that will make her a grandmother. But when you think about it, when she had her son, she was like 19 years old. So in other words, it's not that she had her son at the right age, quote unquote, because people of her generation probably will wait until their early 30s to have children because they have to build a career and so forth. So, in other words, the fact that she said that she doesn't want to be an old mother, it's something that she should have figured out right from the beginning. It's not like, she just discovered that she was in early 40s when she married Joe. So, that I find kind of odd because these years are very important because now Joe is 47, and if he wanted to be a relatively young father, why did he marry Sophia and wait 7 years to get a divorce? And probably had a lot of opportunities to have a child with a woman who's younger. So when it comes to identifying a soulmate, I usually recommend that a person chooses their own personality type or the introvert or extrovert version of that type. So in other words, Sophia is a lot more compatible with another ESFP or maybe an ISFP. In the case of Joe, he probably is more compatible with someone who is an ESTP like himself or an ISTP. What happens is that a person who is a feeler will not have their needs met by a thinker. And this is very important because people understand is that we don't choose our basic needs. They are what they are. So if a thinker cannot provide that, then they will have issues down the road. You probably will need, let's say, girlfriends or family members, somebody outside the relationship to meet this need. Sofia had mentioned that in one of her interviews that her hobbies are very different from Joe's. So in other words, he's the type of person who likes extreme sports, like mountain climbing, I know Mount Everest, things of the sort. Whereas she's more of a homebody. So that already tells you that when they want to relax, when they want to unwind, they are not interested in the same activities. And that really, tells you whether or not a couple is compatible. And the other point that I've noticed when it comes to thinkers is that they are very much attracted to feminine energy, but they may not understand subtle about the relationship. So he probably was very attracted by the fact that she is expressive, very feminine, she's a very beautiful woman, but did not realize that there are other aspect of relationship that is not working properly. So it took 7 years to come to the conclusion that they had irreconcilable differences. In other words, I'm not surprised that they went their separate ways because of their brain type, and the emotional needs of Sofia were probably not met by Joe's. And yes, you have other factors that might exacerbate the problem, the fact that he was younger than her, but not by that much that would have made a big difference if they were, in terms of their MBTI personality type, compatible. So let me know what you think about this MBTI analysis of Joe and Sofia's divorce by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.